All right, let's see what we can do with this spell work. So I've got 4 different scatter plots, and I've got the same 4 choices for R values on each of these. What's something that you could use right at the beginning to be able to narrow your choices down? Yes. Which ones are positive, which ones are negative? Is this one a positive or a negative correlation? Negative. So I can immediately eliminate the 0.40 and the 0.35 because those are positive numbers, right? Coming down to this one, what do you think about that one? Positive. Yeah, it looks mostly positive to me. So I'm going to eliminate the 2 negative choices. What about over there? Positive. And then that one? Negative. Okay. Now instead of choosing between 4 things, I've got it narrowed down to 2. That makes it a whole lot easier. What does the R value tell us other than positive or negative? How strong it is. I think of these like percents instead of like decimals. That's why we never get bigger than 1. We never get smaller than -1. Because I think of that like 100%. A 1 is a perfect match. So when I'm thinking about these numbers, what they're telling me is if I were to draw in the least squares regression line, the line of best fit, if I were to draw that in, and I was using it to make predictions about real observed data values, how accurate would it be at predicting? 0.93 means that the line of best fit would be about 93% accurate in making predictions. 0.51 means that my data is not very close to my line, so my line would only be correct about half the time in making predictions about what I would see in the real world. So between these 2 negative ones, which one looks more like a line where the data would be closer to my line? Top one. So should that get the negative 0.51 or the negative 0.93? 93. If I were to draw in that line of best fit, oops, it's going to look something like that. That's not very clear on your end. Let's see if I can draw a better one in. There. That line would do a reasonable job of predicting all the data that I did collect and any future data that I might collect. Does that make sense? Okay. Down here, because that scatter plot is much more spread out, there are data values that are nowhere near this. So this line, I couldn't use that equation to make accurate predictions about any of these cases out here, any of those individuals. So far, so good? Okay. So if that one is my negative 0.93, this one would have to be what? Yes. Negative 0.51. All right, let's look at the 2 positive ones now. I've got 0.4 and 0.35. Those are really close together, right? But which one of these has more of a line shape to it? I think this one has more of a line shape, only a tiny bit more. But this one to me looks a little bit more like a line because I've got these pieces that are clustered together right there, that if I draw the line in, it hits them perfectly. So I think this one is probably my 0.4, and this one would be my 0.35. Doing okay with that? Okay. For the rest of the class period, you guys are going to be working in Google Sheets. You need to open up your books to page, I want to say it's 56. Yes, page 56. I've changed 2 of the questions. I need you guys to make the same changes. So question number 5, we're just cutting completely. Question number 5 is saying compare the graph that you make with technology to your hand-drawn graph. I am not making you guys plot all those points on that little sheet of paper by hand. That's just cruel. So we're not doing that. Instead, I want you to replace it with what does X represent and what does Y represent. That is part of question 6. So I'm just giving us some more space to answer part of question 6. What does X represent? What does Y represent is what we're putting in the place of number 5. And question number 6 says to interpret the meaning of your equation. So we want to describe what the slope means, but then I also want to describe what the y-intercept means. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yay. Okay. So you guys have this whole big long list of data. This came from the survey that you guys did for me on the second day of school. Do you remember doing that? When you walked around the room and you had to measure things. So I've got everybody's arm span. This is everybody that answered the survey at the point in time that I pulled the data. Arm span is in the right-hand column. That's the ones where you measured on the board. And then height is in the left-hand column. I want you to take all of this information and you're going to put it into a Google Sheet. After you get it all entered into the Google Sheet, you're going to create a graph, a scatter plot. You're going to find your least squares regression line. That's the line of best fit. Google Sheets calls it a trend line. You're going to make it tell you the equation of that line, and you're going to use it to find your R value. So I will tell you that just counting the rows, there are 52 ordered pairs here. If you include the headings at the top, which you need to so that your graph has this written on it, it should go down to line 53. So I'm going to give you guys time to put that in. I want you to get your scatter plot up, get your trend line, make it show you the equation and the R squared value. On any of those pieces, if you don't remember how to do it, I am more than happy to offer assistance, and you guys are more than welcome to work together. After you guys get your data in the 2 columns, you would want to make your scatter chart. We did this together the other day. You want to highlight both columns, and you choose Insert and Chart.
So I'm supposed to add another 166. How do you make a number stand?
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yes, you can. So you need another 166 right here in between these? Okay, so what I'm going to do, does this 149 go with this, or should that go with the other one?
The 149, it goes with
The 166 that's missing. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. If you had all of the rest of this data in, I'd do it a little bit differently, but this will be our easiest one for right now. So I'm going to click on this. We're going to go to Insert. We're going to go with a row above. So now you just need to move that one number up, and you can put that in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you don't remember how to make it show you a scatter chart, scatter plot, please let me know. Once you have all your data in and you make your scatter chart, you want to make it show you the line of best fit, the least squares regression line. Google Sheets calls that the trend line. That's underneath the Customize tab once you make your scatter chart. You you go to Customize and then you go to Series. And then you'll scroll. Make sure they're rectangles. You'll scroll until you see a checkbox for trend line. To get it to show you the equation, after you click on trend line, it'll let you keep scrolling down. And where it says label, you're going to click on a little drop-down menu, and it says use equation. And then there's a checkbox for R squared. Once you have all that information on your computer, you're going to answer questions 3 through 10 on page 56, and you're welcome to work with a partner. So question 3 is just writing the equation that it gives you. For question number 4, the computer will give you r squared. We want r. What do you think you would need to do to r squared if you wanted to find r? Square root it. You're absolutely correct. So you'll take the number that they gave you, grab a calculator, your phone is fine. You're going to take the square root. You will have to decide whether that r value is positive or negative, based on whether it has a positive slope or a negative slope to it. Mm-hmm. You're welcome to work together to answer questions 3 through 10. 3 should be coming right off your computer screen. The r squared part does not belong in question 3. Also, please make sure you write an equation on number 3. The computer gives you an expression. You need to pop a y equals at the beginning of it. And then it is correct. Number 4, the computer tells you r squared. You're going to take that number and do the square root of it to get your answer for number 4. You will have to decide whether it should be a positive or a negative based on your line. Does it have a positive slope to it or a negative slope?
So square root this number?
Yes. Square root that number right there. If you guys get all the way down through question number 10 on page 56, your homework uses this exact same scatter plot. All this exact same data. There's 2 questions on your homework. You can go in and get that done if you get done with all the way down to question 10. Guys, it is really important that you get all the way through question 10 answered and do the homework tonight. Homework tonight only has 2 questions to it, and it's just an add-on for this. But at the beginning of class tomorrow, we're going to compare your answers for 3 through 10 to my answers for 3 through 10. Okay?